He was a poet, a painter, a liberal activist, and key member of the Beat generation. Lawrence Ferlinghetti was born in Bronxville, New York on March 24, 1919. Shortly after his birth, he went with his aunt to Strasbourg, France, where they lived until he was 6. After coming back to New York and graduating high school, Ferlinghetti studied journalism at the University of North Carolina. He joined the U.S. Navy after Pearl Harbor and even went to go see Nagasaki only 6 weeks after it was bombed. This experience altered his political and personal views greatly.
It made me an instant pacifist, no doubt about it. Up to then, I was totally politically naive. I was a good American boy.
After the war, he went to study at Columbia and then went off to study poetry in Paris at the Sorbonne, where he would eventually meet his wife. The two moved to the west in a small part of San Francisco called North Beach. Here, Ferlinghetti and his friend opened up City Lights Bookstore, the first all-paper-bound bookstore in the country. At its start, the bookstore mainly carried works of world literature, the arts, and progressive politics. They were also known for the publishing of beat writers. Writers like Jack Kerouac and Kenneth Rexroth found a platform for their ideas, especially Allen Ginsberg. A special bond formed between Ferlinghetti and Ginsberg that would extend just beyond writer and publisher. The two met at the first ever reading of the poem Hal, to which Ferlinghetti later wrote Allen saying, "I greet you at the beginning of a great career. When do I get the manuscript of Hal?" Although never intending for it to be published, Allen agreed, and Hal and Other Poems was released. But on March 1957, the book was seized by U.S. Customs, Ferlinghetti was arrested, and Hal was put on trial on the grounds of obscenity and crude language.
Yes, the Customs held it up when it came in from England, and then some idiot juvenile vice squad tried to bust City Lights, and Ferlinghetti, the poet, who was the editor, and put him on trial. But we won the trial.
The trial gained national attention, and the court had ruled that the book had social significance, therefore was not considered obscene. Lawrence Ferlinghetti, having the First Amendment at his side, was also let go and propelled forward into national fame and spotlight. Today, at the age of 97, Ferlinghetti is one of the last living figures of the Beat generation. He continues to run City Lights, paint, and write poetry. Nagasaki made him a lifelong pacifist and a passionate liberal activist and led to most of his work being political.
Pity the nation whose people are sheep and whose shepherds mislead them. Pity the nation whose leaders are liars, whose sages are silenced, and whose bigots haunt the airwaves.
Ferlinghetti gave Allen Ginsberg the platform he needed that most people at this time would have rejected. It propelled not only both their careers, but also the Beat movement itself.
The telephone is ringing. "This is Allen," the voice says. "Allen Ginsberg calling." How many times have they heard it over the long, great years? He doesn't have to say Ginsberg. All around the world, in the world of poets, there is only one Allen.
Jazz music was an underrated part of the lives of both Lawrence Ferlinghetti and the Beats. Their poetry was often accompanied by music.
They call you Beat Generation. You think you live as you choose. Oh, you Beat Generation. I think you headed for the blues.
"Don't let that horse eat that violin," cried Chicol's mother. But he kept right on painting and became famous and kept on painting the horse with violin in mouth. And when he finally finished it, he jumped up upon the horse and rode away, waving the violin. And then, with a low bow, gave it to the first naked nude he ran across, and there were no strings attached.